Hey everyone, welcome back to Living Survival and welcome to 2021. We're going to kick off the new year with a non-review type video, which I hope to do more of this year. We're going to take a look at my list of 20 uncommon items that you can add to your first aid kit or med kit. Now everyone should have a first aid kit or multiple first aid kits that you can put in the vehicle, that you can put in your kits, that you can put in a day pack. You should have a comprehensive first aid kit at home as well. Now these come bundled with a lot of goodies, but as I mentioned, we're going to take a look at 20 uncommon items that you may not have thought of that really go a long way in addition to what typically comes in your standard first aid kit. So first aid kits range anywhere in size from these basic maybe 1 or 2 person kits or day hike type kits, which is what I use these for, on up to a more advanced, larger first aid kit such as this one from Surviveware. But they're all generally, unless they're a specific kit, maybe a trauma kit for example, they're all going to contain the basic necessities that a first aid kit should have. So I can read you off the back of this one here from Adventure Medical. You're going to have band-aids, you're going to have antiseptic wipes, you're going to have some antibiotic ointment, butterfly closures. They usually come with a couple medications, maybe some aspirin, antihistamine, ibuprofen, afterbite wipes or sting wipes, safety pins that you can use to remove ticks and splinters. And generally, the size of these is going to dictate how much of that equipment you get. Now, moving on up to a larger first aid kit, such as this one from Surviveware. This is the one that Kristen keeps in her vehicle. I keep their waterproof one in my vehicle, but these are going to be more comprehensive kits, and they're going to have more included in them. And these Surviveware ones are really good because they come not only with a ton of useful items in them, but they also are really highly organized and really highly labeled here. So you can see that in this kit you get a ton of stuff. You get shears, you get gloves, you get even these little splinter forceps type removers. You get a little small first aid kit in here, tape, you get a whistle, you get a bunch of dressings here, a bunch of wound closures and things like that. So basically your larger kits are just going to contain more items in there. But what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at items that you can add to these kits that you may not have thought of, that the kit itself may not come with. Now I also have specific kits for, this would be my range bag kit. This is going to be more of a trauma kit. It's going to have a tourniquet in it, larger gauze pads for example, just basically like a major bleeding kit. Which is what I use for that. And then I use this kit in my get home bag or my bug out bag. This kit is going to have the basic, first aid type materials, and then I add a tourniquet into that. So let's take a look at my list of 20 uncommon items that you can add to your first aid kits. So the first thing that I would add to any first aid kit that generally doesn't come with them would be a high quality tourniquet. This is a North American Rescue cat tourniquet. There's a lot of fakes out there, so make sure you're getting a genuine product. This is something that can be added to just the side of a kit, for example. I generally will just slide it through the elastics on this VanQuest pouch, and then there you go. I have myself a tourniquet in addition to my first aid kit. Now in my range bag, I carry an Israeli bandage, which isn't a tourniquet, but it is a large, wound dressing, and a SWAT T tourniquet, which is another form of tourniquet. Skinny Medic has a bunch of good YouTube videos showing how to properly use these and what materials to get. So I would definitely add a tourniquet to your first aid kit. Number 2 would be a small folding knife or these little razor blades that you can pick up off of Amazon. They're just the little foldable razor blades. Obviously, a cutting tool is pretty important to have in any kit. Now, some of the kits, like the more advanced Surviveware kit, does come with the shears, the trauma shears, but you could also add a knife for just opening packages or just having to, cut material. Maybe you need to cut some rope. It's a good idea to have a backup blade in your first aid kit. Number 3 is a small flashlight. You never know when you're going to get caught out after dark. You may not have your flashlight on you, so it's a good idea to clip one of these to your first aid kit. You can get little keychain lights. I like this little TI3 from THRUNIQUET because it can be worn as a headlamp, so that gives you a hands-free option if you were having to, you know, administer aid to someone else or even yourself. It gives you that hands-free option. Takes one AAA battery, so it's a good option to have. But any small little clip-on flashlight or any small little flashlight would work. It's a good idea to have one of these in your kit. Number 4 would be MYLAR sheets. Now, a lot of the more advanced first aid kits will come with an emergency blanket, but it is a good idea to stuff one of these in there. It's pretty small and lightweight. Great idea if it's cold out or even if you're experiencing any kind of shock or hyperthermia. You know, you can wrap up in one of these and conserve that body heat. So it can also be, you know, a temporary shelter as well. You could use this to improvise a sling. You know, you could fold it up or cut strips off it and improvise a sling. So emergency blanket, pretty good thing to have. Next up we have eye drops. You don't want to know how many times I've gotten things stuck in my eye or jabbed in the eye while walking through the woods or just being in a dusty, dirty environment. You wake up with really dry eyes, and it's a really good idea to have some eye drops on hand, not only for comfort, but also in case you did have to flush your eye or try to get something out of your eye. You know, your eyes are super important in any kind of emergency situation, so definitely include a small bottle of eye drops. Next up, nail clippers. Again, I've been on the trail where I've had maybe a nail break off, a toenail, for example, you know, and you just have to clip it to make it more comfortable. Again, your feet are precious items, especially if you had to walk any certain distance or you're, you know, 10 miles in on a hiking trail and you got to hike back out. You know, nail clippers can certainly come in handy to keep your toenails or even your fingernails groomed so that they're not sharp, you're not cutting yourself. In the case of if you get like a hangnail, for example, you can clean that up with some nail clippers. Next up would be dental floss. Again, getting something stuck in your teeth, whether you're camping, hiking, backpacking, or just in everyday, you know, just in an everyday situation, having something stuck in your teeth sucks. So I always include some dental floss. You know, you can keep this stuff in the glove box of your car. You could keep it, you know, in your medicine cabinet at home. But I like to keep an extra roll of this in my first aid kits. That way I know it's always there and I know I can head straight to that kit and get something out of my teeth. It also doubles as cordage. You could use this to bind something, to lash something. You could use this to tie something up, such as, you know, with the emergency blanket. You can make yourself a, you know, a sling, and then you could tie it up with the dental floss if you had to. You know, again, we're talking emergency situations here, but you could also use this as improvised fishing line. So a lot of uses for this floss. It's a good idea to have something like this in your first aid kit. Now, a lot of kits include safety pins, which are good for removing ticks or removing splinters. I like these Uncle Bill's sliver grippers. They're keychain format, so you can hang it right on your keychain or you can clip it right to the side of a first aid kit. I've gotten countless things poked and prodded in my hands, in my arms, and you know, these really go a long way to alleviate some of that pain. So it's a good idea if your kit doesn't have safety pins or a set of tweezers to put that in there. Next up we have super glue. Now, believe it or not, emergency rooms do have a specialized type of super glue that they can use to close wounds. You can do the same thing with super glue. I've done it most of my life for just small little cuts and scratches and little nicks and things that I don't want to get infected. You can clean it and then you can apply some super glue and you'd be surprised at how well this stuff works. So, you know, you can get these in really small bottles. This is maybe, you know, a bigger bottle than you would want, but you can get the little vials and you can put some of those in your first aid kits and you'll have that there in case you just have to close a small wound. Next up is sunscreen. If you are on the water at all, like I am, fishing for example, in my kayak right down next to the water, it's a great idea to store some sunscreen, even if it's just a backup. I've had to grab this stuff so many times when I forgot to spray myself down at the car. Getting a sunburn sucks, especially if you're out for several days. So having a backup, you know, a small little backup of sunscreen in your first aid kit, again, goes a long way. Maybe you get stuck out and you're out in the elements. Adding some of this to your face, your nose, your ears, and you know, the more sensitive parts definitely will help keep you more comfortable and prevent you from getting a wicked burn. That brings us up to burn gel. If you do happen to get burned, this is water gel burn gel. I'm pretty sure you can get this off of Amazon. Some kits do come with it, most kits do not. You could use this, or you could also use aloe. You know, you could get a small little vial and put some aloe in it, or you could do the straw method where you fill the straw up with, you know, the aloe and then just singe off both ends of the straw. So no matter how you get some of this in there, it's a good idea to have some burn gel. These ones go in my range bag. You know, I'm probably most likely to get burned at the range from a stray casing, or who knows, a hot barrel. And then these also go in my camping kits as well. So if you catch a burn, you know, next to the fire, I don't ever wear gloves. I'm always grabbing things with my hands. My hands are pretty used to it. But if I did get a burn, you know, you can apply some of this stuff and be a lot more comfortable. One thing that kind of goes hand in hand with burn gel would be Vaseline. You can get these small jugs of Vaseline. This stuff is definitely multi-purpose. You can use it as fire starter. You could use it as lotion. You can use it to fix zippers. You can use it to, you know, smooth out cuts and scrapes that you have. So it's a really pretty useful product, and it comes in this small little jug. So if you have a larger first aid kit in there, you could add some of this in as well. So a lot of kits come with ibuprofen, aspirin, Tylenol, antihistamine. Maybe they come with anti-diarrhea medications, but you always want to add in your own personal medication. So if you're on any sort of prescription drugs, you want to make sure that you have a few backups in your first aid kit. Maybe contacts, for example. If you wear contacts, tampons for the ladies out there, you want to make sure you have backups of that stuff just in case you get caught out. And again, it's something that you could keep in other places, maybe in the vehicle or around the home, but I like to keep a backup supply of that stuff in my first aid kits. That way I know where it is, especially something like Tums. You know, it sucks to have a stomach ache after you eat something or get heartburn. I know that there's a small thing of Tums in my kit that goes in the car. So next up we have a mirror. A mirror is pretty important. Most first aid kits do not come with a mirror. Again, if you get something in your eye and you're trying to use the eye drops, for example, or you're trying to see that, it's a good idea to carry a small mirror with you. And if you're going to carry a small mirror with you, you might as well carry a small compass. It's multi-use. A lot of these small little fold-over compasses have a mirror built in, so whether I put this in my first aid kit or not, it's a great complement to my first aid kit, and I know I can go and look in that mirror and see, you know, something on my face. Maybe I got cut, and I need to see that in order to clean it, or I need to just see what's going on. A mirror is a good idea to have in or around your first aid kit. Next up we have a whistle, another great item to have in your first aid kit. This one you can just clip right to the zipper so that you know right where it is. Again, if you're alone, for example, and you're going for your first aid kit to try to close a wound or try to alleviate something, and you need rescue, it's a good idea to have a high power whistle that you can blow. Now the Survivor kits do come with a whistle, some of them do, but it's a good idea to add a small whistle like this to your first aid kit in case you do have to try to signal for rescue. Another uncommon item is electrolytes. Now it's a good idea to have these, you know, if you get injured, your body is going to want some of those electrolytes. These you can just dissolve in a bottle of water, for example. They give you the antioxidants, vitamins, and electrolytes. So if you don't have food, for example, you know, something like this can be a short-term supplement to that. They're small, they're lightweight, so I always keep a couple of these in my kits. Hand sanitizer, especially with the past year being a struggle with the virus that is going around, hand sanitizer is an awesome item to keep in your first aid kit. Again, one of those items that we probably have at home, one of those items we probably have in the cup holder or the center console of our vehicles, but having a small bottle like this in your first aid kit provides you a backup should you need or want some, and you know right where it is. So that's a good uncommon item to have in a first aid kit. And then obviously to go hand in hand to that would be a mask. These I picked up at Walmart. I think you get 2 of them for $1, I believe, or you get 4 of them for $1. I bought a bunch of these small little packages. They're good because you can you know, put them right in a first aid kit. You can leave them in the glove box of your car, and then you always got a mask if you need it if you're going into a crowded area. So a mask and hand sanitizer, those are great items to add into your kit. Getting down towards the end here, a Sharpie or small writing utensil is a great thing to have in your kit. Maybe you need to jot down the time you took a medication, for example. A lot of medications are 4 or 6 or 8 hours spaced apart, so you want to keep a record of, you know, when you took that medication. Also, a Sharpie is a great idea if you have a tourniquet. You always want to write the time that you administered the tourniquet on the actual tourniquet, or you can write it on someone's hand, write it on someone's forehead. It's a great idea to have a marking device such as a small little Sharpie here to be able to do that, to be able to keep track of when medications were administered or when other things like a tourniquet has been applied. And finally, we have tape. Now, some first aid kits do come with tape. Most smaller ones do not. It's a good idea to have some tape, such as this cloth tape. It comes in different widths. But a good substitute for this would be just a small roll of duct tape. You can get I think they're inch thick Gorilla Tape. That stuff is great. You can do so many things with that. You can improvise cordage. You can improvise a sling. You can wrap things up with it. You can use this in addition to obviously you know, gauze and wound dressings and wrap that stuff up. So it's a good idea if your first aid kit does not have tape to make sure you include some tape. So that's it. That's my list of stuff that I would include in a first aid kit, uncommon items that you can put in a first aid kit to help you be not only more comfortable, but obviously to help you in the case of an emergency. These are great items that are often overlooked that you should consider adding to your kit. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video today. Make sure you give it a big thumbs up for me. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Even if you just want to say hi, I generally reply to as many comments as I can. Hopefully you guys will share this video to any friends or family who might be interested on your social media. And if you haven't already done so, please consider clicking that subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified of new videos.